This is One-on-One. We are pleased to welcome Dr. Karen Blitz, Medical Director of Rehabilitation Services at Holy Name Medical Center. Good to see you, Doctor.
Glad to be here.
You're here to talk about something called Neuro Rehabilitation. What is it? You're at a cocktail party, someone says, Neuro Rehabilitation. Doctor, so what is that?
It's the rehabilitation of people with neurological conditions.
Such as?
So someone who has something like stroke or Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, just a simple neuropathy, any issue that can cause a problem with functioning. And what we do is we look at what the deficits are and we attempt to either optimize their functioning by increasing their balance, increasing their strength, or compensate for what the issue is. So if they have a speech or cognition problem, we can use compensatory strategies.
Whoa. Compensatory strategies.
Okay, so if someone can't remember things, the simple answer is they have to be aware that they have this issue. And then we can have them write lists, we can have them set alarms, we can do things even to assist with their memory. If someone has difficulty with speech, there are training techniques to speak better. If someone has a drop foot, where they're walking and tripping on their foot because of weakness or neuropathy, we can brace them. And once the brace is on, they're no longer tripping on that foot and they're conserving energy, their gait is normal, and their risk is less for fall. But simple stuff like canes, somebody who has difficulty walking or decreased balance. Initially, people are very uncomfortable with the idea of a cane, but as soon as you give it to them, their walking is faster, they're able to do more things, and they're better. Same thing with a walker. Some people need a walker. And you know, my big problem is I say to somebody, you need a walker and I'll get you much better. Oh, no, I can't use a walker. But in fact, people look at people less when they're walking fast with a walker than compared to when they're teetering without the walker.
So what's so interesting about this is you've told our producers, and you also said this to others, that intervening early on is critical when there's an issue. Because?
Well, because we're afraid that without the intervention, someone's going to fall. And what this fall does is this downward spiral, especially as people get older. You know, someone finds that they fall. They don't want to tell their family member because they're afraid that they're going to be restricted. Someone is going to tell them to do something that they don't want to do. So what they do on their own accord is stay home. Don't go out as much, don't exercise. Their world becomes smaller, and then they become deconditioned and they fall more. So there's a spiral that occurs and the other thing is that the family member of the older person is afraid to notice it. Oh, my mother's getting old. No, my mother isn't getting old. So it becomes like an issue where no one wants to look at the reality.
I know my parents, my dad's going to get mad at me doing this. He does watch One-on-One on a regular basis. We're in the park over this weekend. Beautiful Brookdale Park in Essex County. And my mom gets around just fine. My dad's a little bit slower. And so we're going down this hill. It wasn't like a hill, but it was going down, and I get concerned about his balance. So I put my arm out from home, and he kept pushing it away because he's a bit stubborn. Kept pushing it away, but I didn't like the idea of him going down there, and I just grabbed his arm. But here's my point. I thought to myself, literally yesterday, as we were walking in the park, if he had that walker, it would have made it much easier. But I know my dad. There isn't a way in the world he would allow it. What do you do? I can't. If you knew my dad, you don't understand people watching who know him. It's ridiculous. It would never happen. He wouldn't accept it. What do you do?
You have someone else introduce the idea, their medical practitioner, or just have them go to physical therapy. So if we can refer them to physical therapy, number one, we can work on some of the underlying issues. Does he have a balance issue? Does he have a weakness issue? So we can fix that. The other thing is the physical therapist who develops a really good rapport with him can then introduce that. And then they can see the difference between walking without it and with it. And then you introduce it only when you're outside. So it's a step-by-step process.
What about in the home?
Some people need it, some people don't. My problem is that a lot of patients don't want to use any device in the home, and they tell me I have no problem. But no problem means they're holding onto the walls. Or
that's a problem.
They're holding onto the shower curtain.
That's a problem.
Correct. And that's when they fall. Because they don't recognize that there are ways to make it simple. The other thing is making the home safe. People don't know about that. No rugs, having safety bars in the bathroom. Yes, older people should not have rugs. Easy to trip, and it also creates more rub, so it's more difficult for people who don't have good step length. They have a little more drag, and they're more likely to fall. But simple stuff, a grab bar. All hotels have grab bars, and it's amazing
Grab bar.
how many people use those bars in the shower or next to the chair to stand up or to stabilize themselves. If we had that routinely placed, or if people went for a routine after 65 assessment so they could determine what would they need at home to make them perfectly safe.
Got to get ahead of it. Neuro rehabilitation, some of the most significant advances in the last few years. Go ahead.
I think that we're using it more as the most advanced piece of thing that we're doing. There's lots of different things that go on with neurorehabilitation, but it's still the basic stuff. Exercise, finding the problem, and fixing the problem. The other thing now is that people have the ability to use scooters more. You know,
Scooters?
Those little mobility devices that sometimes you see in
Excuse me.
the great stores.
Yeah.
People can get their own. I had a great MS patient who was a teacher, and she was finding it more and more difficult to get into the classroom. So she says, I think I'm going to go on disability. So we got her a scooter. It got her into the room. Once she was in the room, she was able to do her whole thing. And then at the end of the day, she scooted back. She continued to work until she was 65 years old.
But the key was getting into the room.
The key was that she walked very slowly. And that slow walk made it difficult for her. So she says, I can't go to work anymore. But we found a solution to the problem. And that's the whole idea, is allowing technology to solve some of these problems for us. It was a complete accident. I was a physical therapist in my first life. I became a neurologist, and a door opened with my mentor, who was a neuro rehab doctor at NYU. And last minute, he moved, I moved, we got together, and I became an MS and neuro rehab person.
How'd you get to Holy Name?
Holy Name has a really wonderful MS center. And I knew about Dr. Picone from the MS Center, and we had become friendly, and I wanted to introduce more rehab to Holy Name, so I'm doing MS and neuro rehab at Holy Name, and it's the perfect marriage for me.
For you, what's so interesting as I listen to you, as I watch you talking about this, your passion for this work and the people you serve is pretty powerful. It's palpable. Before I let you out of here, what's the most rewarding part about your work?
I think it's doing exactly what I said before. It's the person who says they're going to go on disability, I can make that not happen. It's the person who has a problem where they're not able to do something they want to do, and I can make them do what they want to do. It's the older person who comes in and says, I don't go to the store anymore, and he comes back to me and now he's going to the store
You're changing
again.
their lives.
Right. It's allowing them to have the best well-being they can have and the best access to the world. I have people who will stay home as opposed to try something new. And we can make it so that they don't have to stay home anymore, if they listen and if they're open, and if they're willing to do some therapy with us.
Dr. Karen Blitz, Medical Director of Rehabilitation Services at Holy Name Medical Center. You are not just helping people clinically, but improving the quality of their lives. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Bergen Community College, TD Bank, Kessler Foundation, MagnaCare, Johnson & Johnson, Cone Resnick, and by Adler Aphasia Center. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.